We are with Senator Elizabeth Warren. Senator Warren, you are on home turf tonight here at St. Anselm College in Manchester, New Hampshire, not too far from your home state. I have to ask you, some people on our powerhouse panel here felt that this was your home turf, you should have taken over, and there were moments in the debate where you seemed to disappear.
Well, you know, had my hand up, wanted to talk, but the way I see it is there was a lot of crosstalk in this debate, and our number one job here is going to be to beat Donald Trump. And the way that happens, we got to pull our party together, and we've got to run on some core Democratic issues that unite us and that actually pull in independents and Republicans. For me, that starts with talking about corruption. We are running, should be running, against the most corrupt president in history. This impeachment that we've just gotten through, he's doing a victory lap. Are you kidding me? What lies right at the heart of it is an ambassador who paid $1 million to get his spot. And it's more evidence of Donald Trump showing every day he thinks government's there for him personally, to help his politics, to help make his family richer, to help his cronies. We need to draw the contrast against that and be serious about telling the American people and showing the American people. We've had enough of government by corruption. I have the biggest anti-corruption plan since Watergate. I think it's time we get out there as Democrats and not just say, but show that we are willing to make this government work, not for those at the top, but for everyone else.
Looking back at Iowa, third place finish, you campaigned hard there. Why do you think you finished third?
So, look, we made it in the top 3, and I'm glad of that. We're now in New Hampshire, and I'm ready to focus on New Hampshire. And after this, we've got 54 more states and territories. I've built out in 30 states. I'll tell you something. One of the consequences of deciding not to fund my race by spending 70% of my time fundraising with rich people and corporate lobbyists meant I had a lot of money, a lot of time to go all around the country. So I've already visited 31 states and Puerto Rico. I've done town halls and selfies in all of them. It gives you a chance to listen. It gives you a chance to meet people. It gives you a chance to talk about the issues that touch people's lives.
Our entrance polls on the night of the Iowa caucuses said health care was the #1 issue that voters cared about in that state. And reporters who covered your campaign noted that you stopped talking about health care, Medicare for all, at the beginning of the year. Those were reports. I mean, that's fair. That reporting was out there. Is there a reason why you stopped focusing on health care?
So I took unfiltered questions. That's been my way of doing this. And what happened right about the first of the year is I way shortened up what I say at the topper and then tried to get to 10 questions randomly drawn from the audience. So I answered whatever people were asking about. But I will say this about it, because I do think it's important when we talk about health care. I talked about it on the stage tonight. 36 million Americans couldn't afford to get a prescription filled, and that includes people with health insurance. The way we need to be thinking about health insurance is twofold. First, get as much help to as many people as quickly as we can. Defend the Affordable Care Act and use the power of the president to bring down drug prices. I'm going to use the march-in orders that are already in law to be able to reduce the price of insulin and EpiPens and HIV/AIDS drugs. That's really important for us to do. And second is to remember, in a general election, we're running against a guy who wants to cut health care for millions of people and who is actively working right now to discriminate against people with pre-existing conditions to end the Affordable Care Act. This is going to be a fight we're going to win.
Senator Warren, we want to look at a moment now from the debate when you and Mayor Pete went at it over criminal justice reform.
These things are all connected, but that's the point. So are all of the things that need to change in order for us to prevent violence and remove the effects of systemic racism, not just from criminal justice, but from our economy, from health, from housing, and from our democracy itself.
Senator Warren, is that a substantial answer from Mayor Buttigieg?
No. You have to own up to the facts. And it's important to own up to the facts about how race has totally permeated our criminal justice system.
So we just talked to Mayor Pete here. He said he could always sort of look back and do things differently. I'm paraphrasing what he said, but you don't think he's done enough, and you don't think what he did as mayor was right.
Look, She asked the question about whether he had answered about the numbers. What I think is important is that we recognize the systemic racism, not just in the criminal justice system. We can't just say, oh, we'll talk about race now, so it'll always be about criminal justice. It's really about the systemic racism in education, in healthcare, in housing. And that's what leads me to say we can't just be an America that says if we don't mention race in the laws, then somehow everything is race neutral. It's not. The time has come that we have to talk about race-conscious laws. Look, Jim Crow was still alive and well into the 1960s. The consequence of redlining in America, which was federal law, meant that white families got a real boost in buying homes, while black and brown families were actively discriminated against. It created a black-white wealth gap that persists even today. So we want to make change, then we've really got to talk about race and how it affects all parts of our economy, of our society, and our criminal justice system.
Finally, Senator, you started this race as a fighter, and you had a lot of fire in the campaign trail, and lately sometimes it sounds like your message is you're going to be a unifier. You can sort of bring both factions of the Democratic Party together. Is your message changing, and do you think it's going to work now that the race is on and things are getting aggressive?
So look, our number one job, beat Donald Trump, but I think that bringing our party together is about fighting. It's about fighting for working people. It's about fighting for America's middle class. It's about fighting for our children who are left behind. It's about fighting for people with disabilities who just get pushed aside. It's about fighting for all of the people in this country who just keep losing out to billionaires, to giant corporations. Look, we've got an America where the GDP keeps going up, where the stock market keeps going up, but what's happening to hardworking families across this country? Wages are basically flat, while the cost of housing and health care, child care, sending a kid to school are through the roof. Families can't take this squeeze anymore. Trickle-down economics, the idea of you cut taxes for those at the top and somehow it's all going to work for everybody else, has been a monumental failure. It is destroying America's middle class, it's destroying America's working class, and it is crushing America's poor. We can change that.
I said my last question, but I actually have one more.
Okay.
If you don't win in New Hampshire, Nevada, South Carolina, do you have a path forward with no victories after 4 races?
So, look, I have built an organization from the ground up, a grassroots movement. We are now in 30 states. We have staff on the ground. We have volunteers coming in because I believe in this fight. This is the fight that I've been fighting all my life for America's middle class. And now we're close. 2020 is our opportunity, not to go backwards, our opportunity to build an America that works for everyone.
Senator Warren, thank you so much for your time, and good luck on Tuesday, okay?
Thank you
so much.